Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Obasi. Good morning, Rufai. All our viewers. Oil and gas news. BP has hired Meg O'Neill as their new CEO. They just announced this earlier this morning. She's the first CEO appointment coming from outside the company, and also going to be the first woman to lead the firm. She's been at ExxonMobil for about 23 years, then went on to Woodside Mackenzie, I think in 2021. And while she was there, she actually, pushed the company to invest in LNG in the United States, I think in fields in Louisiana. She's from Boulder, Colorado, an American. And so she is the fourth CEO in the past 6 years at BP. A lot of musical chairs. I remember Bernard Lumi in 2023, or was it 24, who had a relationship with prior CEO, had a relationship with colleagues and had to leave. And then Maury Auchincloss took over from him in October 2024. And then, although he did indicate that he would step down. So, Elliott Investments is one of these activist investors that are trying to push BP to perform better. They said they're going to divest, I think, about 20 billion or so in assets by 2027. They've had to reshape their renewable energy plans. Again, if you kind of link that to Trump and Ford and this whole shift from renewables from the Biden era coming to more fossil fuels with the Trump era, BP has also had to refocus its strategy. So they are looking to actually shift a bit away from renewables and focus more on more core fossil fuel investments. So that's the big news there from the oil and gas sector. Asian markets were mixed, bearish, if you will. Shanghai Composite Index up by just 24 basis points over in Hong Kong. Tech stocks there have really been falling, and that is bleeding over from the issues with Oracle, Broadcom, OpenAI, Nvidia, and so on. So Baidu, Alibaba, and so on. But in Japan, that's really, you saw some losses there. SoftBank led the way. I think it's lost about 7% this morning, because a lot of what goes into data centers around the world comes from from Japan. So whenever there's worries about these AI bubble things, it seems to affect Japanese stocks. But also you've got chip makers in Korea as well. So Samsung, SK Hynix, you can see the Korean exchange there actually leading losses for the Asian markets. Although India and Australia were on the up and up. So a mixed bag for the Asian markets. Now, you come to the United States, and you can see that there was a drop yesterday. I mean, look at the S&P 500. Again, I keep repeating, 6,900 was where we hit a new record high on Thursday last week, and since that time, it's been falling. So the Dow Jones was down yesterday, S&P down. Your Nasdaq also falling. Look at that big drop, and that's because of a lot of the technology stocks that are listed on the Nasdaq. And then the small cap Russell 2000 at the bottom there, which is very interest rate sensitive, they're also falling. So U.S. markets, it's been pretty bearish for December because of this whole AI play. Nvidia dropped heavily, Broadcom, although Micron released their earnings yesterday. They're another chip maker, and they beat earnings. So we come to the, I think you already discussed this a moment ago, the whole streaming drama with Warner Bros., the official statement, because yesterday we talked about how it was sources saying the statement was going to come out. They did put it out. So Warner Bros. Stock was down 2.7, but Netflix was up. Netflix up by 23 basis points, and then the big drop was Paramount Skydance falling by 5.42%. And then Warner Bros., they did release a long statement, but here's just an excerpt. And again, you've already talked about this, but it said the Paramount offer once again fails to address key concerns that we have consistently communicated throughout our extensive engagement and review of their 6 previous proposals. We'll probably play the clips on the Global Business Report later on, but the chair of Warner Bros. Was basically saying that Larry Ellison was not going to backstop this deal. Instead, he was putting it in an irrevocable trust, and they said that wasn't enough for them. They essentially wanted to get an official word from him. And he's facing his own problems because Oracle the Financial Times had a report that there was a private equity company that was going to help build out some of their data centers. Apparently, they pulled out. They denied it. But Oracle dropped heavily. The stock price has suffered. So I think Larry Ellison, I think his son, David, just wants to establish himself and say, okay, I did this big deal and big acquisition. It seems like he's the one pushing it. But Daddy says, sorry, I'm not putting my money there. I have other issues with Oracle and what's going on with the data centers. Meanwhile, we got central bank decisions today. I mean, we got a couple more, but two, I think about 4 today. But the two major ones focus today would be the Bank of England, led by what is the Bank of England? The governor, Andrew Bailey. What's wrong with me? Andrew Bailey and Christine Lagarde. So Bailey, they're expected to cut. I mean, we've gone through the unemployment numbers in the UK. We've gone through the sluggish GDP growth, inflation. We looked at inflation numbers that came out yesterday. But yeah, so they're looking to cut. And then ECB, it looks like it's going to be a hold. So we'll hear what happens there. And then, European stocks. I had to highlight this. They've performed really well. The FTSE MIB in Italy, look at that, 29%. I hear this is their best performance since the 1990s. The DAX in Germany, because of the Rheinmetall and all these defense stocks, I think I heard there's a new announcement that was von der Leyen just made this morning about securing funding for Ukraine over the next 3 years. So 20% in Germany. Look at the FTSE 100. Mining stocks, with what gold and silver, how they've performed this year, it has boosted mining stocks in the UK. That has really boosted. If you look at that, 19.5, and then your stock 600 is up by 14.2, and in France, 9.5. The DAX and the MIB, they've outperformed the S&P 500 and they've outperformed the American stock indexes so far this year. You already discussed this. This is just Keir Starmer yesterday in Parliament saying that Abramovich has to pay that 2.3 billion. Here he is. Here's what he said yesterday.
Today, Mr. Speaker, I can announce that we're issuing a licence to transfer £2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea Football Club. That's been frozen, those funds, since 2022. My message to Abramovich is this: the clock is ticking. Honour the commitment that you made and pay up now. And if you don't, we're prepared to go to court so every penny reaches those whose lives have been torn apart by Putin's illegal war.
All right, got to get to Zambia now. President Hichilema has been on a reform campaign. He's tried to restructure debts in Zambia. The Lusaka exchange is up double digits. He's tried to bring transparency and also dispute resolution when it comes to investing in Zambia. He's trying to open it up. But there have been some issues, particularly with a company called Boni, which invested and took a 24% stake in a bank called Invest Trust, which is regulated by the Bank of Zambia back in 2021. They were then told that they had to wait for official stamp of approval from the Bank of Zambia. They never got it. And unfortunately, this was 2021 when they made this acquisition. 2024, the company was then told, that's Boni, by the Bank of Zambia, that they were not recognized as a shareholder in this Invest Trust, and then it got liquidated in that same year of 2024. So there's been a whole back and forth around the company saying, hey, listen, we came in here in good faith to invest in a bank, bringing foreign investments into Zambia in this bank. We've worked with the Securities and Exchange Commission over in Lusaka, the Lusaka Securities Authorities. You told us to wait that, okay, this is a company that is being run, overseen by the Bank of Zambia. You didn't tell us anything, and then you've liquidated it, and our money is trapped in there. Now, we haven't heard from the Lusaka Exchange or the Bank of Zambia yet, but, in line with what the president is trying to do, this is an issue that has popped up, and, again, we're still investigating, trying to get more clarity on it, but, Zambia is trying to get its regulatory story right, along with the rest of its reforms. We'll also round up with Nigeria. Exchange climbing by 26 basis points yesterday. 149,842, where the all-share index closed. We are up by 45.58. Can we get to 50 before we close out 2025? That's our updates for today.
Doing very well. Very well. The markets are doing very well here. All right, we've got to go.
Okay, we have to go. You mentioned England and the ECB, the Norwegian Central Bank, and Swedish Central Bank. We're also expecting their, briefing today on the economy, macroeconomic and monetary policy.